The silence in the garage was my shelter, the only place where the two halves of my world could breathe without touching. On one side, the life I had built with Stephanie, the lawnmower, the holiday decorations in their dusty boxes, the faint smell of motor oil, and the promise of a Saturday well spent. On the other, tucked away in a simple black backpack, was Susan. My name is Victor. I am a husband, a senior project manager, a man who makes nearly $200,000 a year. But here, in the dim light filtering through the single grimy window, I am no one until Susan arrives. It began with the whisper of silk. I pulled the black lingerie from its careful folds in the backpack. The fabric was cool, almost liquid, against my calloused fingertips. My heart, a frantic bird against my ribs, began to slow its panicked beat, syncing with the gentle rustle of the lace. This wasn't about sex, not entirely. It was about a quietness that settled in my soul, a feeling of rightness that had eluded me since I was a boy in Chicago, relentlessly teased for being too gentle, for crying when I saw a dead bird, for preferring the art room to the basketball court. My father, a man forged in steel mills and hard lessons, would look at me with a confusion that bordered on disgust. "Toughen up, Vic," he'd say, his voice a low rumble of disappointment. The first time I'd secretly tried on my older sister's nightgown, the world went quiet. The shame I was supposed to feel was replaced by a profound sense of peace. In the soft, flowing fabric, I wasn't the boy who wasn't enough. I was just me. That feeling was a secret garden I tended to for years. I slipped on the silicone breast forms, their weight a comforting pressure on my chest, and adjusted the bra. Then came the dress, a simple, sleeveless blue gown that fell just below my knees. Susan wasn't flashy. She was elegant, quiet. She was the person I might have been if the world hadn't told me I was wrong. Stephanie. My beautiful, trusting Stephanie. For 15 years, she had loved Victor. She had no idea that Susan existed, though there had been close calls. Years ago, she found a picture on my phone. Just my legs and rear, clad in black lace panties. I'd felt the blood drain from my face, but I managed to laugh. Just a stupid joke from one of the guys at work, I'd stammered. She'd looked at me, a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes, but she let it go. The online work started as a validation. I'd set up a small camera in the garage, ensuring my face was never in the frame. I'd pose as Susan, the curve of my hip in a skirt, the silhouette of the breast forms under a soft sweater. Men would comment, send tips. It was never about the money. It was about the affirmation. They saw Susan, and they thought she was beautiful. It was a balm on wounds I didn't even know were still bleeding. But then came Samuel. He was different. He wasn't just a username in a chat window. He was a follower of my small, anonymous photo blog. He never sent tips. Instead, he sent messages. He commented on the choice of fabric, the way the light hit the lace. He was a textile designer from Portland, and he saw the art in what I was doing. "The drape of that silk is exquisite," he wrote once. "It falls with such a gentle melancholy. It's beautiful." No one had ever called me beautiful. We started emailing, then texting. He knew I was a man. I confessed it early on, expecting him to disappear. He didn't. Instead, he asked me her name. "Susan," I typed, my fingers trembling. "It's a lovely name," he replied. "I'd love to meet her sometime." And so I did the one thing I swore I would never do. The condoms in my backpack weren't for photo shoots. They were for Samuel. We'd meet once every few months in a discreet hotel in a city halfway between us. He never met Victor. I would arrive early, check in, and transform in the sterile anonymity of the hotel room. The first time he saw me, I thought I would crumble from the sheer terror of it. But he just smiled. He reached out and touched the sleeve of my dress. "Hello, Susan," he said, his voice as gentle as his messages. "It's so good to finally meet you." That night, we made love. It was nothing like the dutiful, sometimes passionate, but always fundamentally a routine with Stephanie. With Samuel, it was a slow exploration. His hands traced the outline of the silicone breasts with a reverence that made me ache. He kissed my shoulders, my neck, whispering how lovely the fabric of my slip felt against his cheek. It wasn't about the frantic release of pleasure. It was about being seen, being cherished, every part of me, every secret contradiction. In his arms, I wasn't a man playing a part. I was just Susan, and I was wanted. The lie grew, a living thing with its own weight and shadow, and today, it finally broke into the light. It was an email that did it. I'd set up a separate account for Susan under the name Discreet Susan. Stephanie was using my phone to look up a restaurant, and the notification popped up. I saw her brow furrow. I saw the moment the name registered. She didn't say anything, but something in her shifted. The air in the room grew thin. Later, while I was in the shower, she must have gone searching. When I came out, she was standing in the living room, her face pale, my car keys in her hand. Beside her on the floor was the black backpack, unzipped, the blue dress, the black lingerie, the silicone boobs, looking pale and obscene in the light of our home. Susan's entire life was scattered across the hardwood floor we had picked out together. The carefully constructed walls of my life crumbled into dust. I couldn't laugh it off. I couldn't blame it on porn or a joke. The evidence was absolute. I started to talk, the words clumsy and raw. I told her about Susan, about the dressing, the photos. I kept my voice low, trying to emulate the gentleness I felt was so missing from my life. I told her it started before I even met her. I told her it wasn't about her, that it was my own broken thing I had carried. But I couldn't tell her about Samuel. I couldn't confess that the deepest betrayal wasn't the clothes or the websites, but the fact that I had let someone else into my secret garden. I told her the condoms were just part of the fantasy for the photos, a prop. Even as I said it, the lie tasted like ash in my mouth. She looked at me, her eyes searching my face for a truth she could recognize, and I knew she didn't believe me. She was seeing a stranger. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just stood there, her arms wrapped around herself as if holding her own body together. 15 years, Victor, she whispered, and the sound of my own name from her lips felt like a judgment. You let me live in a fantasy, too. Now she's in our bedroom with the door closed. The house is silent again, but this is not the peaceful silence of the garage. This is a dead, heavy silence, filled with the ghosts of 15 years of unspoken truths. I am sitting on the floor amidst the scattered remnants of Susan's life. I pick up the blue dress, the fabric still holding the faint scent of the hotel room, of Samuel's cologne. I look at my reflection in the dark screen of the television. I see a man in a towel, his face etched with fear and regret. I see Victor, but I also see the shadow of Susan, the memory of her grace, the ghost of her peace. For the first time, they are in the same room, and I don't know if I can survive the exposure. I don't know if I've lost a wife or if I've finally started the terrifying process of finding myself. All I know is the silence and the devastating, absolute certainty that nothing will ever be the same.